Ladies and gentlemen, on this channel, I cover many different topics in the world of chess, but one of the most popular playlists is this one, the one that you clicked on today, which is called How to Lose at Chess. You see, one of my subscribers sent me a game and told me that this game would make me physically sick. They were right. What I am about to show you needs to have some sort of graphic warning. You have to have a minimum age requirement to watch the chess game that I'm about to show you. But there is a happy ending to the story. You see, both of the players involved in this game made chess.com accounts very close together. And so I will give you an update as to where they are now in their chess journey. That's all I have to say. Here we go. If this is like one of the first videos you clicked on this channel, the How to Lose a Chess playlist really is epic. I mean, dig through some of these games, and this really will show you that there is a future if you ever feel stuck in chess, if you ever feel like chess is too hard, or you're losing too many games, or making too many stupid moves. It never stops, and chess constantly humbles us all. Now, this is a 10-minute rapid game between Giuseppe, my subscriber, and Abe, who might be my subscriber, but I don't know. He is just the other person involved in this game. Now, the game begins very normally. It begins with pawn to e4, pawn to e5, very beginner, very standard stuff. White plays knight f3. I mean, this is all very, very normal, you know. These are all things that we have seen many, many times. Black now plays bishop to c5, okay? Bishop c5 is a mistake. It's already an error. You are not supposed to play this move. Why not? Well, you know, you really should be trying to develop the knight to c6, because not only is it getting your knight out before your bishops, which is the best move, you are trying to defend the center pawn. Already pieces are communicating here, right? The knight is seeing the pawn, although the pawn is not seeing the knight. Bishop c5 is just a mistake. Because the knight can take the pawn. That's exactly what happens. Shout out to Abe, who, despite being rated 350, already understands the intricacies of this opening. Black continues like nothing happened. Black probably doesn't even know that a pawn got taken, to be perfectly honest. And now white can play many moves. The best move is to just put another pawn in the center. If you can, in the beginning of the game, to put two pawns in the center, you should. That also attacks the bishop, and it is protected. And then, and only then, should you protect this pawn. This move is actually also not bad. I'm not sure that white actually knows that he's attacking this pawn, but he is. And black now plays castles. Very good, and white should probably castle as well, although pawn to d4 I have no problems with. And now black is simply a pawn down. White has good control of the center. The bishop goes to b4 with a check, because at the 300 level, if you can give a check, you must play it. I don't make the rules. That's just how the world works. If there is a check, you should give the check. Now, little piece of information. If you're ever giving a check to the opponent, or thinking about giving a check to the opponent, blocking it with a pawn which defends your center and attacks the piece is probably the best move. You generally should not be giving checks if it can be whacked away with a pawn, although white plays here, and this is a mistake because there is a pin, and the knight defends the center, and black can take the pawn, because this is what we call a pin, an absolute pin to the king, in case there's any beginners watching this that are curious about this wonderful game. By the way, the way you knew Giuseppe had a future in chess, which again, I will update you on these players and their journeys together in the world of chess, the way you know Giuseppe had potential is that Giuseppe in this position played knight takes e4. Now, this might have been an absolute miracle, but it's a good move. White played pawn to a3, and black took the knight, took the pawn, attacking the queen. Now, of course, nobody's blundered a queen yet, which, frankly, at the 300 level is impressive. And this is just a reassurance that 300 elo used to be way worse. Like 5-6 years ago, it's 2025 right now. 5-6 years ago, people who were 300 were shoving pieces up their nose. Like, they were awful. 300 now is not bad at all. The queen goes to d3, then, you know, the knight escapes. Like, logical moves are being made. White is now winning only because white has a very powerful attack on f7, and combined with the queen can, you know, bulldoze. It's really not going to happen. Instead of that, white, you know, obviously blocks the diagonal of their bishop by going d5. But, okay, look, like I said, I don't make the rules. Now, I see a knight in the middle. It's not protected. I see a king. You know, I really want to go rook to e8. I also see a knight and a rook. So I'm looking at different ways to pin the knight to different pieces. You know, Giuseppe here activates 300 elo logic. 300 elo logic is very simple. If I can make a move that is safe and attacks a piece, I have to do it. Knight c5. Like, for 300 elo, knight c5 is brilliant. It's a knight move, it's safe, and it attacks a queen. It's the best move on the board. The queen saves itself. Now the knight is hanging. Again, Giuseppe here showing real potential, because many people think my knight is hanging, I have to move it, but he actually goes pawn to d6, which simultaneously defends the knight and attacks white's knight. White now is like, oh, my knight is hanging. It's not, because the knight is... So, you know, white can make another move. Now, white here overreacts, right? White basically has an itchy hand and just chops it off. White's like, oh, my hand's itchy. My solutions are scratch it, ignore it, put cream on it, chop it off. White just chops it off, knight to g4. Just gives away the knight for nothing. And now we begin the real game. So that knight goes over here. You guys got to be careful of bishops, man. Bishops are tricky, and they see things from very far away. I don't think Giuseppe saw that move, but Giuseppe here played the better move by accident. And how I know it's by accident, let me show you. Giuseppe sees a queen and a king in a center line. When you see a queen and a king lined up in the middle of the board, you're always looking at stuff like this. One other tactical pattern, queen, king, rook. A knight fork on c2 would be lethal, but it's impossible to do that. These are little tactical patterns that if you just improve a little bit in chess, you're going to start winning a couple of more games. Rook e8 wins the queen. It just straight up wins the queen. It pins the queen to the king. Now, the way I know Giuseppe did this by accident is that white went here. So white just had the knight there and now brings it back, except now the knight is free and you continue to win the queen. Rook takes knight. You just played rook e8 to win the queen. Obviously, in this position, you should take the knight with the pawn. Exactly. That's exactly what you should do, because it doesn't make any sense. And you could have won the queen and the knight. Now you just win the knight. And the best part is you don't win the knight because the queen can take the knight. So not only could you have won a knight and a queen, you now win nothing. And how long did we spend on that move? 8 seconds. Fantastic. Now, white here just doesn't see this at all, despite having made that move earlier to attack this, right? So white's now like, oh, I'm going to castle. Which under normal circumstances is completely fine, except in this case you could have won a knight for free. Now, does Giuseppe see that the knight is hanging? No. I can give you 10 guesses here to Giuseppe's next move. It's unguessable. Like, I can't even begin to explain this move. But again, there is a happy ending to all of this. So, you look at this position, the first thing you should think is, do I have any hanging pieces? The answer is yes, but let's just say you don't see that. You probably should be thinking, well, I need to get my queen out, or my bishop, or my knight. What are my pieces? Maybe I offer a pawn trade. I gotta get one of the pieces out. Or, you can just push a pawn. I mean, God gave you 8 of them. You traded 1, you got 7. Might as well push one of them, right? Now, this move doesn't make any sense. Maybe Giuseppe thought the pawn could take the queen straight on. I don't know. I don't know. The knight's still hanging. White does, in fact, move the queen, just 2 squares in the wrong direction. I actually like this move. I know the eval bar says it's -4, but I like it because you line up the queen to the king. In general, you should look at the pawns and squares near your opponent's king that are only protected by the king, because that will help you find checkmate patterns. When you see things that are only protected by the king, you look for checkmate patterns. That's kind of a checkmate. It's kind of brewing, all right? Now, I see this move. Again, I can give you many, many guesses as to what Mr. Giuseppe played here. All of them will make you say, Mamma mia, because he's Italian, you see. And the move that Giuseppe played here was pawn to e3, which if pawn to e4 didn't make any sense, pawn to e3, at this point, Giuseppe might have just handed the controller to his pet dog. I don't know. And the dog just like pushed the pawn forward. I don't know. He just gave up on moving any other piece. I don't know. I don't know why he did this. I mean, he was playing very well. So the pawn is now on e3. It can be taken by the pawn and the bishop and the queen. Taking with the queen would be the worst. White, very simple move here. Pawn takes e3. And now Giuseppe shows you why he was doing any of this. You see, Giuseppe went rook e8, and then pawn took on e5, and then he gave up the pawn so that at the end of this long sequence, he could move his rook here. You know, I mean, it's a move. I'm not going to lie. It is a move. The bishop is hanging, and it moved. And now Giuseppe was like, I'm inspired. He was feeling inspired, right? Italy, you know, rich culture, history, art, architecture. He was inspired. He was feeling very inspired. The bishop moved, and he was like, I also have a bishop. I should move it here. And it was taken instantly. He lost the bishop in one move. The bishop got one turn, and it disappeared. It vanished. He now does not have a bishop. So every advantage that Giuseppe had in this position, which is being up a piece, is now gone. Now white not only has an attack on the king, like this, white also is not down material. Now, again, in any chess position, you're looking at, can any of my pieces get taken? Can I take anything? You look at it around, you go, I can't take it. I got to move a piece. I have to offer a trade, or I have to improve my position. Okay, he plays a6. Now, it's +5, but it's only +5 if white goes bishop b2, which is obviously not going to happen. The bishop is hanging. The bishop is going to move. It does. Now, what do you do once you have done that as a 300? Checks, captures, attacks. You don't have a check. You don't have a capture. You attacked something. Now what? Well, you try to improve your position. You try to develop something or get a piece out that hasn't moved yet. So you go here. Now, that move hangs a knight. It just, pawn takes knight. Knight c6 is a bad move because you lose the knight, and then your other knight is hanging. White goes here. Which is actually really clever. White plays bishop to b2, threatening checkmate on the black king. What more can you ask for? Maintaining the threat on the knight. Black at this point realizes, oh shoot, on the previous move, I hung my knight. I gotta move my knight, I gotta save the knight. So black goes here. Attacking the rook. Now you know what they say, folks. When you see checkmate in one move, you should always look for something better. Which is why in this position, white saved the rook by going rook g5. In case it's not obvious, I am being sarcastic. Yeah, no, that's not good. Knight e7. And another thing, which we like to say at low level is when you can just capture something immediately, why not just attack it again, right? So now there are three things attacking this pawn. Now, the way you protect something in chess is you can move it, right? If the pawn goes up, it immediately becomes bricked up, right? Defended by everything. G6 becomes a solid piece. What you don't want to do is this. That doesn't defend the threat at all. Not only does this not defend G7, which can be promptly taken by the battery of the rook and the queen, the bishop takes f6 is also possible, by the way, because of the pin. Now let's see which of these two pawns white captures. Again, the rook is hanging, so you got to do something. Okay, why would you capture either of the pawns? So now white is still obviously attacking. You got three things pointed in this direction, but now it's black's move. So black, now has to make an emphatic decision, has to change the trajectory of the game, right? Black has how many pieces? Black has 6 pawns, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Black has 12 pieces on the board. And yet, also, I just want to do something really quickly. I want to count the amount of legal moves that black has. Let's just do it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the queen, 6, 7. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. I think it's 41. Black goes here. Now, black had a 1 in 41 chance of blundering checkmate in that position. Literally, no other move hangs mate. There is a way to hang your queen. There is a way to hang every piece. Not this rook. F5. There was a a 2% chance. and Black managed to find literally the worst move on the board. Like, this is impressive stuff. I mean, you guys can't do this, man. Now White went here. Now, look, folks, we got a couple of like little lessons here. All right, you got a couple of little lessons. F5 is, if you don't see the coordination of these two pieces, it's understandable. But the general rule of thumb in a position like this, where you have a queen, two knights, rook, etc., the general rule of thumb is, if you have so many pieces on the board, the best move will not be with a pawn. Probably the best move is going to be with one of these pieces. They're a role player. Like, they need to do something. White has a queen, a bishop, you don't have to find checkmate, but what is this? How did you spend 22 seconds moving the outermost pawn? That move literally doesn't do anything. Now, I understand you probably were like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to move a pawn. Well, you moved a pawn, and Giuseppe took it because it's free. Giuseppe managed to blunder checkmate in one again. And the bishop is hanging. And you can't take the knight. Well, you can because you have mate. White now plays bishop a3. Not only does White no longer deliver the checkmate in one, White literally moves the bishop off of the diagonal, targeting this knight. The craziest part is there are still like 20 moves left in this game. Black plays knight c3, which is an excellent move, actually. Threatening a bishop and threatening a fork can't possibly be bad. White responds with bishop to d3, which attacks the rook. Now, it's a little tricky here because it's not quite an attack on the rook, as you would go knight to e2 check. So you would lose continuity. You would no longer defend e2. Does White know that? Does Black know that? Probably not. Black went g6, thinking if you're going to attack my rook, I'm going to attack your rook. Little do they know, this is not capturable because you are pinned. So Black would have tried to take the rook and have been met with an illegal move, but maybe bishop takes rook, knight e2 would have been played. Now, instead of doing this, Abe in this position plays the emphatic pawn to d6. This is an epic move, all right? Attacking the knight. Giuseppe can now take, but instead he does what any beginner does. My knight is hanging. I have to move it. Fine. Now, this can take this. The rook should probably move. There is still a hanging rook because, again, I'm not so sure that Black actually sees this. And now White plays queen to h4. Now, queen to h4 is a very bad move. Now, for the next 12 moves, not a single move that you will see will make any sense. Queen to h4 is bad because it loses a queen. It also loses a rook because the queen used to be pinning the pawn to the king. So this move loses a queen and rook at the same time. Black plays the ultra enigmatic queen e8, counter losing the game, not taking the rook or the queen, and now White can take the rook. White, though, plays a move that to me is even better. Rook takes h7. Again, rook takes h7 is genius because you have a queen and a rook barreling together into the black position. Rook h7 is, of course, horrendous because it loses the queen in one move, but Black doesn't see that. Black would have played that on the previous move, and Giuseppe now in 6 minutes and 35 seconds plays rook takes e3. He spends 6 seconds and he moves the rook in the completely opposite direction, simply taking a pawn, completely ignoring that the rook and the queen are coming down to the 8th rank to deliver a checkmate. Now, again, you just took the pawn. If you just continue on this trajectory by mistake, you win the queen. Rook to h8 check wins the black queen and probably goes on to win the game. But White here plays bishop c4. 23 seconds. You just moved this. Why? How did you get compelled to go here? Rook h8 is a check. It's a check by accident. You win the game. Bishop to c4 pins the... Okay, fine. Now White is completely winning. White is completely winning. I'm not sure what Giuseppe is going to do. Giuseppe, a very solid move. Very good move. Pawn to c6. Now, it is plus 10, but it's a good move. It defends the knight. Now, rook h8 is GG. White here plays a move that made me physically jump out of my chair. Like, again, you have all these different things coming down this way. You just look at one of these moves and you realize one of them is defended. What you don't do is play queen g5. Why did White play queen to g? What is queen? Queen g5 doesn't even have a threat. It doesn't attack anything, and you lose the defense of the rook. And Giuseppe doesn't. He goes B5? Why? Why did you go B5? You have a check. You have a free rook. Everybody knows that when you have a check or a free rook, you just attack a bishop. Now, white is probably going to take the knight, right? Okay, now white blunders checkmate. Because you have a rook and a queen battery, and if you go down to the first rank, good things are going to happen. It's the only check in the position for black. Now, it's a little hard to spot that your queen is defending your rook. I get it. But Giuseppe sees it. Now, if white takes this, it's mate in one. It's a helpmate. You help your opponent checkmate you. So credit to Abe, who did not just absent-mindedly take the rook. Abe has made a few absent-minded moves, but instead of that, plays king f2 after spending only 3 seconds. Now here's the thing. I'm not even sure Abe saw that the rook could take the rook. 3 seconds? I think Abe was like, I'm in check, I gotta go here. Now Giuseppe can take the rook. Nice. And now white plays d7. So the rook, which has been hanging for like 5 moves, attacks the queen. Sorry, defends the pawn that's attacking the queen. And if the queen moves somewhere, queen g6 is going to be mate in a couple of moves. Now, if Giuseppe plays queen e3, it looks like checkmate, but it's not. Knight 2 e4 is a fork that wins the queen. Queen e2 is mate, and queen e1 is mate in a couple of moves. Giuseppe plays queen e1. Only legal move for white now is king to f3, and Giuseppe also has a 4-minute time advantage. So you know black is feeling the pressure. Now, at this point, you just keep giving checks. You keep giving checks. When there is shenanigans near your king, you don't want to take any moves off. Give a check. Okay. So, for the second time in this game, Giuseppe blunders mate in one. To play rook to e8 in 2 seconds is unforgivable. But like I said in the beginning of this video, there is a happy ending to this whole thing. Rook e8 is just unbelievable. And this is what I mean that Giuseppe said I was going to be physically sick watching this. Yes. It's not about the rook. The pawn can take the rook. This is now mate. The queen and rook rejoin forces. The bishop covers f8. Queen g6 is checkmate by accident. Pawn takes rook. He is also there. White plays here. Now, you see this, right? A few moves ago, there was a black queen on that square, which went all the way to e1. So obviously, you were going to be like, well, I got to come back. Instead of that, Giuseppe plays king takes rook in 5 seconds and blunders checkmate 10 different ways. Now you allow 2 queens to survive. Queen g6 is mate in 1. Queen eg6 is mate in 2. Queen f7 is mate in 2. Queen d7 is probably mate in 3. White goes here. To have 2 queens standing next to a king and to not give the king a check, to not take the queen, to not even go there. I literally think all white wanted to do here was to join the queens together. They just wanted to go, my queens are defending each other. At this point, the alarm bell should have went off in Giuseppe's mind. And Giuseppe should have been like, yo, I'm going to lose. There are 2 fire-breathing dragons near my... I got to check the king. I got to check the king. Instead, 300 elo brain kicked in, and Giuseppe was like, free bishop. And white went here. And now, white is winning. And suddenly, after king to g8, Abe found queen takes pawn, a move that had been possible like 6 other times. And when the king went to f8, Abe played queen g7 and won the game. Now, I told you in the beginning that there would be a happy resolution to all of this. As you can see, when you first start chess, it's the Hunger Games. I mean, you just play to survive. In the middle of an apocalyptic-looking board with two queens staring you down, white just slides the queen over. There is no killer instinct at all. And there is no survival instincts for black. You take a bishop just because you can. You gotta think checks captures attacks, right? These guys were rated 300 when they played each other. They both made their chess.com accounts in 2023 in June or July. 2 years later, Abe is up to 1200 rapid. Not bad. And Giuseppe is 2000. Giuseppe is a top 1.5 percentile chess player in rapid chess. And just 2 years ago was doing that. Which means that for all of you, there is still hope. Don't give up. Everybody's chess trajectory is different. Some of you will be banished eternally to play chess just like that, and maybe you'll have a lot of fun. That's all I have for you today. Chess is hard. I'm gonna go throw up. If you want to improve your chess, you can check out one of my chess books in many languages. It's just called How to Win at Chess, or Chessly, my educational platform, to stop playing chess like that and start playing it more like Giuseppe now, who is rated 2000, or even Abe, who's rated 1200. You know what to do. Get out of here.